What is the show?
The show is 1,000 Clowns by Herb Gardner.
What is the show?
1,000 Clowns is not about clowns.
Well, it's not about clowns.
I love the show. I'd not heard of it before we started the production, and I'm learning a lot about it. It has a lot more humor in it than I thought it would, and it has nothing to do with clowns.
What's the show about? Well, it's not about clowns. I figure you've heard that a lot already. Now, this is a great show. What it's about is...
1,000 Clowns is about Murray. He is trying to come to terms with being responsible and becoming an adult so that he can stay legal guardian of Nick. And while the serious plot of his turmoil is going on, all the characters are busy trying to find out who they really are.
And for various reasons, social service ends up coming to his house saying that they're going to take his nephew away from him if he doesn't show some type of employment, gainful employment.
Trying to get himself together because he's a giant man-child, and they don't want a giant man-child raising an actual child.
It's about coming to terms with having to actually become an adult, and realizing that it needs to be done even if you want to stay a child for the rest of your life. There's decisions that need to be made that you just gotta put yourself through, even if you don't really like it.
I think it's about becoming an adult fully and taking responsibility for everything that comes with it.
You have been involved in a personal problem that has nothing to do whatsoever with your particular case.
Sandberg and Faulkner quit, I quit. What kind of a day is it outside?
It's a Monday.
I mean warm or cold or sunny is what I mean.
Okay, the show is dying. That's why the show is dying. The kids don't have a yay attitude. Dead, dying, dead, dead, dormant, dead.
Last year he won the Sweetie Award, Leo. No, Leo.
I'm getting sick of myself.
This is only my second show that I've directed. The first show I directed was a musical, Schoolhouse Rock, here at McCoy's Theater. This is the first non-musical play that I've directed. I've been in a couple, but this is the first one, and it's a lot different. It's a little easier for me, because I'm a musician, to understand how to block a musical. The flow is more apparent to me for each scene. So I've really learned a lot so far, and it's been a challenge for me to be able to visualize how I'd want the actors to actually make the script come alive.
Also, I'm going to spin you with that hand. You end up like this?
Yeah, that works beautifully in slow motion. Well, because you're going with her around, that makes
right,
sense.
okay.
Try that again.
Then we should do it in slow motion. Okay.
Tell us about your character.
Nick is a young, happy-go-lucky, bright kid. And in the relationship between Nick and Murray, Nick is almost the parent.
My character is Murray. He's in his 40s. He would be called a slacker, I think, by today's standards, because he kind of floats through life, doesn't hold a steady job. He is raising his nephew, but he reaches a point where he has to decide, look, am I going to take the next step, become a more serious person, or am I going to say, look, I'm the most important thing in my life and I just want to keep doing things the way they are?
My character is Arnold Burns. I am the older brother of Murray Burns.
My character is Leo, the producer and lead character of Chuckles, the Chipmunk Show. He's a eccentric character who's pretty excited about the kind of work he does. I think he genuinely loves his job, loves that he's having an impact on kids' lives, but I also think he realizes that it's cheap laughs. Maybe he is not living up to his full potential, that he's just going for the cheap laugh and not really honing his craft. Or maybe he doesn't even have any skills. Maybe he's just kind of phoning it in and just cashing the big bucks that they give him.
I am Dr. Sandra Markowitz, and I'm the psychological part of the social worker unit that comes from the Child Welfare Board with Albert Amundsen. And the whole time I'm really conflicted because I'm not suited to my profession, and I'm trying so hard to fit the mold of this professional psychiatrist, and I really just want to become carefree and embody some of those carefree characteristics that Murray has, and find out who I am.
And Albert is the agent who's trying to take away Nick. Well, he's not trying to take away, but he works for the Bureau, and it's really fun because he's really mean, and I'm not.
Built in 1927, McCoy's Grand Theater opened the night of February 16, 1928. Built by J.C. and Eunice Dasher McCoy, the original auditorium had seating for 500 on the main floor, with an additional 100 seats on the balcony. The stage could accommodate a 35-person show with its modern equipment for lighting. 2 dressing rooms were located behind the stage. The McCoys wanted to provide a theater that the community could use for school plays, church and home talent shows, public meetings, and many other events. Mrs. McCoy closed the theater in 1982 at age 85 due to her declining health. She died that same year on October 10th. It was a provision of her will that led to what McCoy's Grand Theater is today. After Ayers received inheritance, the bulk of Eunice Dasher McCoy's estate was left to provide the town with the museum and arts center. The theater was reopened on May 27, 1988, with a performance by the WVU Percussion Ensemble. Since the reopening, the theater has hosted many outstanding musical groups, school programs, historical reenactors, children's theater workshops, and community theater, as well as being available for rental to local organizations. The current board of directors is pleased to be caretakers of the legacy of Eunice Dasher McCoy, whose generous gift of this historical building provides entertainment for all ages.
Being lying around screaming around the bed, you're walking around him, and you're going to go behind the bed and pick up your files because you dropped them when you came back.
What all goes into a show that you don't think many people realize?
Oh my. Well, what I don't think people realize is when they come to see the show, the number of hours that have already gone into. Even before I had my first rehearsal, I've probably put hundreds of hours in. When you talk about the set, costuming, and costuming in itself can take hundreds of hours because we have smaller budgets, and so I might spend hundreds of hours looking for the perfect dress, that fits the period or is the right size and is in our price range, and then it fits our budget before I ever get a costume on someone. I've probably put hundreds of hours into just that.
Can we scoot the chair this way towards the yellow curtain?
Choreography, we look at YouTube, we look at other scenes that have been done by other characters, other theaters, look for what we think fits our characters, put dances together. Choreography is another thing that's hundreds of hours.
Good.
So we have set costuming, choreography, scheduling around people's work, because in community theater, this is not their job. Nobody gets paid.
Stuff, it's in my trunk.
And then your advertising, posters, tickets. There's just so much that goes in, and sometimes it can run, if you combine everybody's hours, it can run into the thousands of hours that we've put into this production before it comes to audiences. And in addition to that, I don't think people understand the amount of money that we spend on them. So it's kind of disheartening. You look out, there are only 20 people in the seats because you got to pay for this thing. So.
What's your role in the show?
I am the stage manager. My job is to oversee the production when it comes down to showtime. I stay in touch with the director throughout the night and make sure props and set changes and things are going smoothly.
As the stage manager, I take notes during rehearsals to make sure that the actors know where they are to stand or move, coordinate props, handle getting those in place for show nights, help move sets and props on the stage. For the lighting and the sound, you have to follow along with the script and know where the cues are to make the sounds come in, such as a doorbell or an alarm clock, and operating the lights so that there's darkening and lightening as needed.
Okay, how do you prepare for your role?
What?
How do you prepare for your role?
I read the script and try to analyze it as the character and try to give it that perspective as Arnold going through.
I prepare by, I watch the movie and try to recreate that with my own interpretation. So it's not like I'm stealing somebody else's, but I still have a good idea of Nick.
When I prepare for a role, actually this role in particular is interesting because I had learned a monologue from this show. Clear back when I was in high school, it was suggested for me by a theater teacher from West Virginia University. And so I learned a monologue, and then when I got involved in theater 21 years later, in my late 30s, this show popped back into my head, and I still knew the monologue. So I actually watched the movie, which is a very popular movie from the mid-60s. It was nominated for a Best Picture Oscar, and I just loved it. And I thought, this is a show that I would love for McCoy's to do. And basically, I've spent the last 6 years trying to get somebody to do it, and so finally, I'm not a director. I've never directed, but I really wanted to play Murray. So we finally have Adam Leatherman has stepped up and is going to direct it, and so this is finally happening after 6 years I've been trying to get it made.
Well, after memorizing these lines, it's just a matter of finding the right voice for the character. You run your lines enough times, you start to find a certain cadence for how this character is supposed to sound. And through the cadence, you can start developing certain character traits that can further enable you to portray this character. And then basically it's also what the other actors on stage are doing and listening to them, and that sort of can inform you what you need to do to convey the story.
When I'm doing something that's based off a movie, I don't watch the movie because I don't want to have any likeness with that character. So I had never seen the movie. I just, like, I don't really start memorizing it until like I'm with other people and like then it starts implanting into my brain.
What does theater mean to you?
Theater is my escape, and everything else in my life is chaotic. This is my calm place. I can come here and relax. I don't have anything to worry about, and I can be myself. I don't have to put on the face of who I should be, and I can be whoever I want to be.
I've been doing theater since I was like 7 or 8, so I guess it's a way for me to stay in touch with who I've always been and how I've grown up.
Theater is it's just a place where I can be myself.
I think of it as kind of like it's my temple. It's another form of worship. For me, theater is that one moment in time where you and the audience connect with each other. And it doesn't happen often, but when you're doing your job correctly, you and the audience kind of merge and become one, and you and them are able to, go through the course of the story as if you're this one giant beating heart. And it's very cathartic, and you feel like you just ran a marathon.
It's getting up on a stage and in front of people. For some people, that's the scariest thing in the world. And it scares me, but I also get a huge rush out of it. And so that's what theater to me is a way to actually share things with, people can come in and they might come in happy, they might come in sad, But you can actually, just like a movie that you're in, you take people out of reality for a little bit, and you can sit them down for a couple hours and have a good time, and they can go to another place. And you're a part of making that happen. So, to me, theater is wonderful.
Theater is really important. It's a hobby and a job. We do so much work with it. But the outcome is performing for people, and that's what I really do it for, is to make people laugh or to feel.
Theater means family to me. I wanted to consider theater earlier on when I was younger in this community, and my children were growing up and very active, and I couldn't do it. And I started, I'm going to say, I think it was 8 to 10 years ago was my first opportunity to participate in something at McCoy's, and I've tried to stay involved ever since.
Theater, I've been doing theater since I was in the 6th grade, and my first show I was a little dancing hobo in the background. Moved up since then. It's just, you get to be someone else for a few hours out of the day, and you get to, make people happy or sad. You get to,
Arnold, you have many successful clients.
Well,
Grab me, aren't you? I didn't expect you to fly in this like that.
Goshers and golly goods, kinderoonies. Now what are all us chipper monkeys gonna play first this fine morning?
And what are your thoughts on the show?
I think it's a very inspirational show. For me as a senior in high school, I don't really want to grow up. I don't want to do that much, but it makes you realize that you really do got to get stuff done, even if you don't want to do it.
people would come in not knowing anything about the plot, and I feel like when they go out, they are going to love the show.
I think it's a very inspirational show. It's a fun show. While there's this overall plot of the show is very serious because Murray needs to become responsible so that he can keep legal guardianship of Nick. There's all these chaotic, crazy things going on in the midst of it that makes it this fun but inspiring show.
I think if people come, this has such a mixture. I mean, there are funny one-liners that I think make a person bust out laughing, but then there are also times when it reaches a level, I think, that a lot of comedies don't reach in terms of the drama and the poignancy in it. So, I think it's people that come to see it will just have a blast.
The show is really good. It's very wholesome, and if you really listen, there are a lot of good life lessons within the show. And you could watch it multiple times and catch all of them, but I imagine you wouldn't be able to catch them all in one sitting of the show.
What do you think people are gonna like? What do you want the audience to take away from the show?
I want people to identify with at least one of the characters and to see something of themselves in that character, and maybe take away some sort of feeling of connection, and that there's more to them than maybe they think, that maybe there's some challenge in their life they're just not accepting, and that they can overcome it if they just take responsibility for it, or that they can be more than other people think they can be.
What's your favorite color?
Orange.
If you were a clown, what would your name be?
Giggles.
What's your favorite animal?
Oh. I don't like animals.
What's your favorite Bee Gees song?
I hate the Bee Gees, but...
And which bear is best?
Which bear of what bears?
Of bears, like any bear.
Any bear? Oh, real bears.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about cartoon bears.
No.
Probably Kodiak bears, I think. I think they're powerful but beautiful.
And what's your favorite reptile?
My favorite reptile is the Nile crocodile because they're awesome. How far do you think you could throw a wet watermelon?
And who's your favorite beetle?
My favorite beetle, definitely Paul.
And what are your thoughts on kangaroos?
They're very energetic and strong.
And what's your favorite Disney movie?
What's my favorite Disney movie?
Yeah.
The Lion King.
And why?
Because I love the music and the story.
is your favorite scene when the lion dies?